What's up, everybody? This is General Spear here. Welcome back to another episode of Art Shenanigans. How y'all doing today? Hope you all have a good afternoon, good morning, good evening. So, we are here, and we're in Photoshop once again, and we are going to draw something today. And this is actually part of a series that I want to kind of bring to the channel, kind of a little mini sub-series, for the Art Shenanigans playlist. I thought it would be fun for those who are interested in this and everything on my channel to do a let's draw something. So like how it would work is, you would in the comments below suggest the next drawing that I do, and I pick at random which drawing to do, and we draw that. And one per episode kind of thing. So I thought that would be kind of fun to do that. And we're gonna do an inaugural Let's Draw. And this is gonna be something that I think I will suggest. And we're going to draw. What do we want to draw? I'm figuring this out as I go. Let's do a lighthouse. Lighthouses are one of my favorite things, and let's do a lighthouse. I think that'll be fun. And actually, I need to flip the orientation of this entire canvas. Okay. 90. There we go. There we go. Excellent. That's a lot better. I can work with that. Okay. Oh, and a little disclaimer, what I wanted to show you guys real quick, for any of you that are wondering what brushes and stuff that I use, for those who are not familiar with it, I follow a guy on YouTube called Jazza, or his actual name is Josiah, but he has a channel called Draw with Jazza, and I, through his shop, got a bunch of his brushes, about 20 or so in the pack, for like $5.50 kind of thing. And they are significantly better for drawing, for doing shaping and everything. It is significantly better than anything that you will find default here in Photoshop. If you work with Photoshop, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm actually going to bring my monitor closer to me on my desk. That was a little noisy, and I'm gonna shift my monitor up a little bit. There we go. There we go. Should have had all of that figured out already. But right now what we have is the construction pencil, which allows for us to get some nice things going there. My mic a little over right there. That's perfect. Me and my wife, we just got some new, we traded some furniture. We got rid of our nightstands and we got a desk for the room that we're in. So now we have 2 desks and no nightstands, which the desk that we got is also serving as an additional nightstand. So that's fun and nice. We're actually going to offset this lighthouse a little bit. We're going to place it over in this area. Actually, maybe bring it down a little bit more. Maybe have the horizon about here. Let's see. I think the vanishing point will be about here. Just draw the vanishing points in there, just to have them in there. This is all about 1 point perspective at the moment. Technically, this would be 2 points, but you can kind of eyeball this with the 1 point perspective. And I I love drawing things. I mean, there are several things that I love drawing. Absolutely, I love doing sea creatures. I love doing humans, specifically faces. Fascinate me a lot. I've been more recently getting into body shapes, as you can see from the last video. Which, by the way, it is that the drawing that we did in the last video, where we did the female in fabric or clothing and armor kind of thing. That video. If you've not checked it out already, go check it out. But what was I going to say? The piece for that is finished and is out for print. You can pre-order it in the description below if you so choose. I will actually flash a photo right here of the piece. It's one of the best pinup pieces that I've done so far. And it's not a pinup. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's my work with that has kind of taken on a mix between boudoir art and pinup art, which I like both styles quite a bit. Now, it looks a little janky at the moment, but we'll fix that. We'll definitely fix that. Okay. No, I don't like that. I like it to be a little shallower. Actually, what we could do is this. Some lighthouses have this little lip at the top. With a little thickness. And then we go back in with another section. Then it's another little lip. Like so. And then we have the glass. Actually, I don't like the placement of that. A little glass on top. That looks a little better. And then we have the roof. There we go. That's kind of the basic layout. And of course, every good lighthouse, or, well, actually, there's quite a few lighthouses that don't have this. But what I would like to do is get kind of a nice little house. Nice little house. So, what we're going to do first off is create a box. And this is all back to that 1-point perspective thing. And we want this kind of, not flush with the bottom of the lighthouse, but kind of close to it. Take a line and go all the way back. Make that as straight as possible. There we go. And we're going to make a little box. And this is where technically 2-point perspective would come into play quite a bit. Do a line there. We'll assume that there's a line right about there or so. Actually, that's most helpful for getting the angle we want. Take that and drag it back to there. It's a nice big mansion this guy lives in. He's really his family has really upkept the property of the lighthouse and everything. I'm also okay with this going back and being a horizon line. Actually, this might work out in our favor because we can keep this roof line flat with the horizon line, keep it parallel with the horizon line. So I think the 1-point perspective bit will work out in our favor here. We don't necessarily need to deal with 2 points so much. But what we will do is we'll take this point down here and we'll drag it back like so. And then I want this house to kind of cut off a little bit there. I'm just going to take my eraser, increase the size, and do that. Okay. And then let's let's see here. Actually, that's not quite right. I need to fix a few things. Fix a few things because I want that point to end right there or thereabouts. The line goes there. And actually I have an idea. From this point, hit shift. More or less. Actually, let's redo that. There we go. And from that point to there. That's very nice. By the way, for those of you who are wondering and don't know, I'm hitting the shift key and drawing a perfectly straight line. That's how you do that. Oops. I hit a button that I did not want to hit. And we can do this line up here much better than what we had going on. I am a slight perfectionist when it comes to art, but I also am able to work with any mistake that I may come across, which makes me very, very versatile. Erase the inside there. Getting rid of some of the construction lines. Okay, so now we have that. Then we're going to go for the roof. And I think the easiest way of going about doing this roof... And actually, I want to bring back those construction lines real quick. There's a reason, there's a method to my madness as to why we're bringing these back. Because we're going to take from this point here to this point here, and there, because I want the roof slope to be around here. We're going to take, and we're going to go from diagonal to diagonal. I love perspective drawing. Absolutely love it. So we have our X there, and in the middle, this point here, is the middle of our roof. Pretty nifty, huh? And then we got the angle there that we want. I think I like that. And I think on this side, I'm going to do a little bit of an overhang. Which makes, I mean, that's actually a nice design feature. You know, we have the roof flush up against the lighthouse right here, and then for the other side of the roof, we have a nice little overhang, of which we will do that right there to show some 3D effect. And then for this side, the lines for this side are pretty much parallel. Shift and do that. That's pretty nice. It's pretty darn nice. Okay, so now that we've figured that out, we want to figure out now the landscape. We know that mostly it's going to be ocean, and for the most part, lighthouses are built on, well, they're built on land, obviously, but a lot of it involves like rock bed and, you know, possibly some sod and grass that's, you know, kind of around the landscape itself, but mostly on a very stable foundation like rock bed or something like that. Something that's not going to give way to erosion or anything like that. I think for this though, we're gonna just, you know, keep it simple and kind of play around with the landscape here. And we can clean that up as needed. The last few things that I want to do, that I want to get in with the construction stuff, is doors and windows. The windows on the sides here are not the problem, but what I want to do is I want to do a door for the lighthouse here, maybe like a big door, for, like, say if there's a shop down below or something like that, and the owners need some heavy equipment to be moved in here for like the bulb or any maintenance that needs to be done in the house, stuff like that. So what we're going to do is I want to have the door top be about here, right where we have the middle point for the roof line. I want to take that point, and I'm going to draw a line back to our vanishing point here. And we're going to take this door, and I kind of want to offset it from center a little bit, just to give it a little bit of something to look at. So we're going to put one of the door frames here, and we're going to put the other one over this way. And right there is pretty much our door setup. And if we want to do a double door, there's a really simple way to do it. We're going to do an X, again, corner to corner, and that center point is where we have the double door, right there, which is pretty darn nice. Erase that a little bit. Oops. Something of that nature. I'll clean it up. I'll definitely clean it up. And then for windows, I'm thinking for windows over here, it's kind of the same manner. Windows about there. And we'll do about there. So do a window there and a window on the other side there. And I think that looks pretty good. And then we can have windows for right here. Bring in a lot of light. More or less like that. I can fix that. And then for the lighthouse itself, I think I kind of want the door to be of similar fashion. So we're going to continue that line and this line. And I kind of wedge the door right in here. More or less. And it's actually okay if this does a little bit of overlapping. Like that. And that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. And then, for the window, I want a few windows here. We want it kind of following the curvature of the building itself, but we still want the perspective to be there. And I'm actually going to make that window a little bit smaller, because there's the level perspective to think about, but we also want the curvature of the building itself, which is why this looks a little awkward. That looks a little bit better. Looks a little bit better. Okay. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to erase a few lines here, because now is the process of cleaning this up. And this is where, oops. And this is where I'm going to basically take my time and really put in some nice detailed line work. Maybe even use some cross hatching and everything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put out a new layer, and I'm actually going to take this layer and decrease the opacity by about 50% or thereabouts is fine. And then take and do, we'll do a 0.2. And go to default for black and white. Zoom in. I think we'll work on the top of the lighthouse first. While I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my love for lighthouses. I love them a lot. I actually have several almanacs on them. And I think one of the reasons why I love them so much is because there's no other building in architecture that has a purpose quite like a lighthouse. There's no other building out there in the world that has this specific unique purpose of guiding light, or being a guiding light for ships and objects in the dark, especially on coastlines and everything. Because before lighthouses, collisions with ships and land were very, very common. It was a big safety issue worldwide for those that that were traveling commercially with maritime travel and everything. And I mean, there's lighthouses that are famous. Like, there's the Great Lighthouse. I can't remember what civilization built it, but there's the Great Lighthouse, which is something that I've seen talked about a little bit in like Civ 5 and Civ 6 as a wonder that you're able to build, especially if you're on a coastal city. But it's just this wonderful building that unfortunately I don't know a whole lot about. I don't even think it's around anymore. Because it was built, I want to say it was built kind of during the reign of, either the Romans or the Greeks. I can't remember which. But this idea that a building itself can have a function really fascinates me. Like, for example, the other buildings that I really like and that are specific right now to the Japanese is they have buildings with hanging objects from their ceiling. And these objects are essentially weighted balls that hang at the top of the building. And their whole purpose is to be a counterweight for when earthquakes happen. To counter the sway of the building, that is. Which is a really, really cool, concept. And it's such a simple way of being able to help with earthquake prevention. Or not prevention, but to help with the building sway when an earthquake happens. It's just ingenious. Now, I know this is not 100% perfect, but it is nice for what it is. I have yet to figure out how to do time lapses, because if I was able to do that, I would do a time lapse for you all. For frickin' sure. Not make you sit through this. Although to some people I bet it's fascinating to watch this and be like, to have it come to life. There are times in which I'm watching other artists in which time lapses are really, really nice. And then there are other times in which I would love for them to explain various concepts of how they did certain things. Because I'm all about wanting to learn how they did what they did versus just seeing it. I mean, I can get a general idea of what they did, in that time lapse, but the whole idea of them, doing it and not explaining it can be a little tough sometimes, especially if it's a technique that I'm not familiar with. Like, for example, my digital practice is very, very, kind of beginner, kind of. It's in the middle of beginner and intermediate. Like, I have some knowledge, but it's not expertise. And there are definitely techniques that I see in other people when they draw, for example, humans. There are definitely techniques that I have not learned that I really want to learn. And unfortunately, for the most part, I mean, there's a lot of people that are doing a lot of techniques out there. That, don't get me wrong. But there's also videos in which there are really, really cool ways of doing art that they just don't explain. And I think it's because they just go through a trial and error thing, like, and figure it out from there. And I think that's what I, as an artist, eventually need to do to do that. Create a nice little lip for the door here, because I kind of want to inset a little bit. Like, for example, I've yet to learn how to do a vertical line up and down a structure like this. I'm guessing that there is a way to do it. I just don't know it. I'm going to kind of rush on this a little bit because we are running out of time. Alright. So there's that. Kind of take it up to there. I mean, here's the thing. As much as I want these clean lines to be, I'm also okay with that whole hand-drawn effect that I've got going on right now. And I'm only going to accentuate that even more. I'm not going to add color or anything like that. But I will add things like various details in shadow with a brush that I've not necessarily used a whole lot in the pack, but is really, really cool. Kind of feel little details there. And then what I want to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to take... Where is it? Is this it? I think this is it. No, shading dark. There we go. Kind of nice little shading techniques. And I love this brush so much. I really do. In fact, I'm going to get rid of those background. Oh, I forgot one last thing. Okay. There we go. All right, now on to shading. This works just like a pencil. Oh my gosh. I love this brush. Because it's still that hand done technique, which I've grown to love in my own work over the years more than anything. Look at that. You can have a nice gradation there. Keep in mind the light source. I don't know why it's acting so weird right there. Maybe if I increase the brush size a little bit. Get a larger area. There we go. Because I am over time right now. And this also creates a nice little texture too. Just like that. Just like so. It looks pretty good. For this area here, I'm going to do it a little bit darker. Because I want this to be a different, or allude to the fact that it's a different color than the rest of the structure. And actually, same with this. Just like that. Same for the top here. Erase any excess. And already that's looking pretty good, all things considering. Pretty darn good. Let's see. Bring it all the way down to there. Actually, I'm going to keep that gradation there because I kind of want to continue that. Go over the windows there. Have a little bit of shadowing in there. Have a nice cast shadow for the house. Like so. And then the side here. Like so. A little bit of shadow for the roof there. Let's see. Right. So there's that, and then we're going to do a little bit of gradation for the land. Just make this shadow a little bit darker overall. I'm actually going to increase the size. Ooh, that's nice. Nice little texture there. And then very lightly do some wisps. And then some cloud effects. Keep in mind that the light source is about right in this area here. And there we go. That's pretty much what we got there. I'm going to take my fine liner and sign it. Oops. I actually don't like how I did that S there. Alright. Very cool. That's going to do it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. If there's anything that you would like for me to draw, please leave it in the comment section below. That would be very much appreciated. Feel free, as always, to Hulk smash that like button. Comment in the comment section below if you're new. Do not forget to subscribe. And as always, may the force be ever in your favor.